Afternoon, everyone. Well, it's afternoon for me. It's 12:22 p.m. in Central Time. Hi, this is Grash, and welcome to Racing Statistics. If you're watching this on the Racing Statistics YouTube channel, you're being scammed. Report them and come to us over to YouTube. We found that the hard way last race. Welcome to Racing Statistics. This is Grash. We're going to be in Montreal, Canada for free practice one. Yep, it's the Canadian Grand Prix, home of Gary. I forget what Gary is, but Gary, our runner across the track from last year, it's his house. So welcome back. We should probably report one big thing from last week. It was the 100th anniversary of the 24-hour Le Mans. Ferrari rejoined the race after not being there for years, and well, they won. Our F1 Jesus Giovanni is part of the team that won that. It was car 51, I believe. They won the race essentially. There are other categories. Chevrolet won, I believe, the one other category, and another Polish team won another category. But the major category, the top category, was won by Ferrari. The other weird thing at Le Mans was that NASCAR showed up with a modified stock car, and that apparently won hearts and minds of people there. But there we go. Welcome to Canada. So we got to talk a little bit about weather. So last week, one of the big things is that we're major wildfires in Canada. Those have declined somewhat. They're still burning, but they're not at the same intensity. This time last week, parts of New York City were basically the airports were at reduced capacity because of visibility. It has improved, but they're still burning. But it's not going to be a big, like, air quality is not great, but it's not, the level of, oh my God, smog inducing choking that was last week. So having said that, we do have weather in the mix this weekend. It shouldn't affect anything during this session. It could rear its head during FP2. So that's today. As for tomorrow, it's a chance of it popping up tomorrow and Sunday as well, though it's supposed to be improving over that. We'll give you more better forecasts as when we go through those sessions. Looking at you right now, if you haven't liked or subscribed, that would be great for us right now. There is about over 800 of you right now, and over 200 of you have liked this stream so far. Thank you so much. So we're about 5 minutes before green lights. Again, look, our tire compounds are the fastest compounds, so it's a C3, C4, C5. I'm just looking at what's going on. People are making fun of me because I brought up NASCAR and Le Mans. Don't get me wrong. It's a huge. That's a huge big deal. Outside of F1, that's one of the big stories going on. They did finish the race, so it's a big deal that they did. Big. It's don't know where that's going to go, but it's a thread that maybe to follow. You see, I think. Yep. So Racing just asked basically where you are watching from. Camel is from UK. Pickle Power is on YouTube. But where though in the world are you? Where in the world is Pickle Power? Delay is in Germany. Jose is south of me in Texas. Papa Bear, Malaysia. Australia. We have someone from Russia. England, Borneo. I don't know who's talking about which typical American, if he's talking about me, but anyways, not a typical American. Montreal, Canada, Sri Lanka. Ilmax is from Aruba. It's 1:28 p.m. Sweeney Coney is in Malaysia. We got Katie in Philippines. David Taylor in Poland. I believe Ron is in Netherlands. Shoopaloop is in Nebraska, USA. Reed repairs in New York, Portugal, Maldives, Ontario, Canada, Indonesia. Illegal is asking, you English people are watching the Ashes or not? If those who know the Ashes, I believe, is, I think, cricket. It is a big deal. It's a big deal that's going on right now. I know. I know about this because he asked me about it during the driver's interview this weekend. He was like, "Yeah, the Australians are going to crush the commentator says like, oh yeah, how is it going to feel when the Eagles crush the Australians? Is like these Aussies are going to beat the I don't know. It's cricket. Here in the United States, we have what devolved from it is basically baseball. So, if you can hear a fan in the background, my apologies. I have an AC running. It is about I can do the calculations for you. So it's about 30 degrees Celsius here where I am at, and it's only going to get hotter and hotter as the day goes on. Excuse me, I can barely talk apparently. Where is? There we go. So it's probably going to jump to like 35. So it's going to jump for us. It's going to jump in the 90s Fahrenheit, which is about. You're thinking in the middle is going to about 35, I believe, Celsius, 36. So it's going to be hot. A few more people. You got people from South Africa, Turkey, Wingleton. Ariel Toronto, who will be better this weekend, Mercedes or Aston Martin? That's a very good question. Mercedes. So that's one of the big stories coming out of Spain is that Mercedes basically they brought all these repairs, not repairs. They brought these upgrades at Monaco, and the only reason they did it at Monaco is because they were planned for Imola, but Imola got flooded out. So they were put on for Monaco, and then brought in, rolled into Spain. And I'm looking right now. We've got, I believe, both of the Red Bulls are lined up at the front of the track. Definitely one of the Red Bulls is at the beginning. Red light still, and we're now green light. So that's Verstappen that's coming on to the track right away, the beginning of the green light. Looks like Perez is second, Stroll, De Vries, and Alonso are the first ones out on track so far. So we'll come back to this in a moment. As you know, they're all on outlaps at this point, so it'll be about a minute or two before we get, and probably another 3 minutes, 4 minutes before we get actual times. Kevin says he's here in Toronto. Weather has been very variable all week, which is, to be expected in that area. I am from New England, so I'm south and a little bit east of that area, and it can be unpredictable with how things can go. Jose is saying it's about a mix of looks like a mix of soft and BM compounds on the track right now, which would be expected at the moment. APR asks how to mention people in the comments. Use the @ symbol, and then will get on in a web browser, not on a mobile web browser, but not in the YouTube app, but on a web browser. It will bring up a list of names as you type in to help sort out who you're actually typing to, so you don't have to type the whole name out if someone's got a very long name. So I'm looking right now, and there's looks like Verstappen is starting. It's hard to tell who's doing what at the moment. It's still too early for time. Verstappen's going to set a 1:22.31, but this is a very early lap. We'll see how things go. He is on soft compound. So is Perez, Stroll, and Alonso. Everyone else looks like they are mediums. Oh, we have a yellow flag already. It looks. Is this Gasly? So we have Gasly stopped on track. It looks like a gear shaft issue. No. So Gasly thinks it's a drive shaft. The team is trying to see if it's not something that's not mechanical, but something that's basically a software or electrical issue. They're trying to reboot his car. So yeah, they're going to red flag at. They are red flagging the scenario right now. So I'm listening to the replay right now. And so, ooh. So it's not a crash. It is. So the drive shaft seems to have failed on Gasly's car. He's trying to get on his second gear, giving it power, and it's not going anywhere. So we are in red flag right now, right away, because Gasly has basically stopped on track. They've tried rebooting it, didn't work. And right now here, the marshals are now manually pushing his car. So Gasly looks like he stopped in the second sector. So what's going on right now is they're trying to get Gasly's car to move on its own power back to the pits, because otherwise they're going to have to they'll pull it behind the wall. If he gets pulled behind the wall, that car's not getting back until the end of the session. And with this session being the only dry session, this is going to be the only dry session. So he will lose the critical practice time. So right now, everyone has pitted. Everyone's back into the pits of their garage as they're waiting. They're still trying, while Gasly is still trying to get his car back into some sort of a gear to get moving again. And it's not looking good so far right now. Race Control has. It looks like Race Control has called it now. They are now pulling his car backwards, which was he's basically they're going to bring him behind the wall. Yeah, oh well, you've already missed the fun already. You've got a red flag in our first practice in the first 10 minutes. Yep, and Gasly is now behind the wall. Yeah, but Era, we've got 3 practice sessions, so he will probably get even if it rains later today, he will likely get a lap in during that session, and will be allowed in. Yeah, no, it. So while he'll be done for FP1, he will probably go out to do a lap in FP2 to do a lap. I can't see them not allowing him out. Even if it's raining, if he does a representative lap in the rain later in FP2, I can't see them not letting him drive in the race. So let's see. They are lined up. So let me see. So the Mercedes are lined up, George in front of Hamilton. I don't know when they're going to give the green light. I didn't see the race control. So again, we are in a red flag scenario because Gasly's car, his drive shaft gave out. He stopped on track. He tried getting the car going again, but it didn't happen. So they pulled him behind the wall. So his session is done. That car won't get back, until after the session is over. Yeah, it's about 21 degrees, about 69, 70 degrees Fahrenheit in Montreal. That's relatively cool. It's comfortable but cool for basically for the area. I do not have the information on track temperature in front of me. I'd have to go look. I don't have the F1 data up on my screen, unfortunately. I don't have that race control information. So Jose is reporting track temperatures at 34 degrees. And that 34 is about where my day is going to be like later today. So we're looking right now at Alonso's car. As the wheels are off. They're working on something. We've got to look at Zhou's car. Sandra, why is a red flag? Basically, because Gasly's car basically I was listening to Zhao on the track, basically a replay earlier about his car being very stiff. I don't know when the restart time is. I'm not sure why they haven't restarted yet. But again, the reason we are in a red flag is because Gasly, his car came in the second sector, basically in his first lap. The gear shaft basically gave out. So the gears just didn't. So Mercedes was lined up were lined up. They're now pulling Hamilton and George's car back from the line back to the garage. So I'm not sure why. I guess it's going to be longer than expected. Again, what caused the red? Gasly's car drive shaft or gearbox issue happened in Sector 2 on his first lap out. Stopped on track, could not get the car started again, which went from a yellow to a red because he was stopped. So race control has not issued a restart time, which is very weird because it wasn't that hard to get him off track. So both Hamilton and Russell were lined up on the line to go out. They've been brought back from the line to the pits. Which makes sense because you don't want the car standing out there if it's not moving. We don't know why it's taking so long, and in fact, it's the F1 commentators right now are perplexed at why it's taking so long to get back to a green light setting. So some of the things that we should take into account right here is that where Spain was had high speed corners. And a very high-speed track. There are many low-speed corners here, and a lot of straight-line full throttle sections. So it's a very different track from Spain. Hamilton says he's working directly with Toto about his contract. He was very coy during the drivers, pre-race drivers interviews. The 5 at a time type, that session there on F1 TV. He was very, very coy about his contract. He said there was progress, but there was nothing he can say about it. So basically what this is going to tell you is that nothing's going to happen. If you hear anything about it, it's probably a bunch of baloney until Mercedes and Hamilton actually say something. That's basically what it amounts to. Is that basically they're going to if they're probably, I mean, the contract could be done right now of all purpose things, but they're now waiting to announce that the contract has been done to make it best for Mercedes and for Hamilton, mostly basically for Mercedes. We're about 17 minutes into this session. Again, this is Racing Statistics on YouTube. If you're watching it anywhere else, you're not watching in the right place, and someone's stealing our stream again. If it is, report them and come here to YouTube. This is Grash. We are into a red flag session. Basically, the issue is that Gasly's car gave out. It's a mechanical issue, something either with gears or the drive shaft. He was in second gear and was not getting any power. And so ultimately the car stopped on track. He tried to get the car going again. It didn't happen. And then Racing Control called a red flag to get him off the track. That happened about 8 minutes ago. So the thing that suggestion that may be happening with the something may have maybe happening has happened with the track that we don't know about, which is why the red flags there, because they need to go out and fix the track essentially. But I don't know. We have no idea what that might have been. There's been no indication of that. That's the issue. That's a suggestion coming from the F1 channel right now. Nathan asks, is it going to rain? Not necessarily during this session. The weather report for today has weather in the 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock hours of locally. So that's going to be during FP2. Again, we don't know why it's still going on. Why it's like we know that Gasly's car is what brought out the red flag. We don't know why. I mean, it's off the track. It's been off the track for almost several minutes now. Something else is happening that's causing this to stay in a red flag scenario that we don't know. And I can tell you right now that the F1 commentators don't know either. And we know this is very weird, is because Mercedes were out on the line, the pit lane line, waiting for a green light. And then this red flag kept going on. They eventually pulled them back to the pit. So they literally propped them up, rolled them backwards. And that was about at least 5 minutes over. There's no. We're only 20 minutes in the session. We still got 40 minutes left in this session. If this goes on another 10 minutes, then I would get into where you are and be like, hey, we're halfway over. What's going on? Summer, you were saying that it's a power issue. Can I get a source for where you guys are getting that information? Because I'm not hearing any of that over. I mean, I'm looking at pit walls and stuff going on, garages and whatnot, and it's all fine. So the official word right now is that um, the local closed circuit television cameras, there's an issue with that system, and for safety reasons they need to fix that until we need to fix those issues until for safety, so they can get back. Yeah, it's the infrastructure. So while yeah, we have now seen Gary has popped up again on track. Racist is saying the groundhog bit the cables. Oh no. So, one of the things that what's going on, essentially, practice started, and Gasly's car stopped on track. While Gasly's car stopped on track, something happened with the closed circuit TVs. We would have gone into a red. They would have had the red flag it because of the closed circuit TVs. They would have had to get them off track for safety reasons to fix that. It just so happened that Gasly happened, and then the TVs. So yeah, no, we're in a weird spot. Welcome to F1 with Crash, where weird things happen. Apparently, there is no. They are working on the closed circuit TV. We have no idea when the session will restart, or even if the session. I mean, I'm also gonna. I mean, we're at the point where the session may not restart because of the issue with the closed circuit TV. One of the things that's going on this weekend is that, like where F1 is the only one here on track this weekend. So we don't have F2, we don't have F3 to worry about this weekend. So this is kind of why this is happening now, because it's the very first session with F1. Yeah, everyone. Why is Mercedes not racing? Because everyone's in the garage. We are in a red flag session. We're in a red flag session now. It came out originally because Gasly stopped on track. He's been off track his car's off track. Now we are in a scenario where they can't return to the track because the closed circuit TVs that they need to keep for safety aren't working, and they're trying to get those back up. And until those cameras come back up, they can't really go back out on track for safety reasons. And also the cameras, they're also telling FIA that, hey, X car went off the track. We should give them a penalty, type stuff. No, Gasly car's not going for. I mean, it will eventually go on a hike, but it's not moving right now. That car won't get back to the garage until after this session. I'm a little surprised that Alpine's not trying to make an appeal to get that car back to the garage now while this red flag session is going on. But we'll see. I want to thank the 1,800 of you who are watching right now. We've got over 370 likes. Those likes do help. Appreciate everyone who's come and showed up. Again, this is Racing Statistics. If you happen to be watching this on another channel, they're stealing it from us. Please report them. Come over here and join us with chat. Our chat, basically come join our chat. Come join our community where it's actually happening. I want to thank everyone who's in chat right now, who's working with me through this weird red flag scenario. So, Astro 628. It will be exciting when Norris is in Red Bull next. No, Norris is. He won't be in a Red Bull next season. It'll be like 25, 26 is when that contract is up, and when Checo's contract is up. They just re-upped Checo's contract for another few years last year, so he's got like a 2 or 3 year contract extension. So Wizards just says, got here, what happened? Okay, so people went out on track for their first laps. Gasly's car stopped because either a gearbox or a mechanical issue happened. He couldn't get back onto the track. He couldn't get his car back up and running. And ultimately, it went from yellow. He couldn't get the car back up and going. Race control said, it's time. We'll just pull them back behind the wall. Red flagged it so they could. And then this is about 20 minutes ago now. We've been in this now red flag scenario because there are closed circuit televisions cameras around the track that have basically failed. They've turned off. We do not know why they have failed. We don't know what's going on. We know that these cameras need to be back up and running for safety reasons. And so now we're in this red flag hold. We don't even know when the cars will be back on. Yeah. And we have the wave in the crowd because nothing's happening. Don't blame them for doing that. Yes. In the last 10, 20 minutes, 15 minutes ago, we found that Gary the Groundhog has appeared to get on track, near track. He has not gone back on track. So yeah, no. If you guys don't remember Gary, you go back. F1 posted race control. So race control says that has been delayed due to the issue of the OCT. The local organizer will work to resolve the issue. Until that time, we cannot restart for safety reasons. So this is that is now coming across the race control system. We had about 5-6 minutes ago. I forget, one of the F1 commentators basically had basically said what's being shown right now from race control. So welcome to Canada, everyone. I don't know what to tell you. We are waiting till that to get fixed. They have gotten Gasly's car onto a flatbed truck. So at least they are, getting it up onto a truck to get it back to the garage. Why have they not Gasly's car back? Because basically they brought it behind the wall. Normally they would not. They wouldn't have time to bring it back to the garage because of practice. And so they would have gone back until after the session. But given we're now in this weird red flag session, it looks like they've now got it back onto. They've used a crane to get it onto a flatbed truck, and it looks like they're going to get back to the garage earlier than expected. Normally, they would not be doing this right now. So that is interesting. That they are. I had suggested that they should do that. Didn't think they would. They actually are now bringing his car back to the garage. This is not normal during a practice session. This would have happened after the session. And they're only getting away with this now because we're in this extended red flag scenario. So this is actually going to be good for Alpine because they're going to get their car back faster than expected. It would have been another 30-40 minutes until the car would have gone back to the garage for them. They're not going to get it back in the next 5-10 minutes. We'll see the garage brought into the garage in another 5 minutes or so. So they're going to get 20, 30, 40 minutes with the car that they would not have normally gotten. So that's a big deal for Alpine. Link is asking right now, there's a technical failure on with the track. There are closed camera cameras that have failed, that the organizers are trying to get back up and repair and get back up and running. We need these cameras for safety reasons. Ultimately, we're now waiting for that to be fixed. So even if I know why the red flag. Well, we go back. Gasly cars stopped on track, and that's what brought out the red flag initially. But that red flag would have been brought out it would have been another minute or so into the session. It would have been like at the 30, 35, 34 minute mark. The red flags would have come out for the cameras scenario. Yeah, there's no moose in Montreal. Montreal is a major city, so you're not going to see moose in that area. You'd have to go east and a little bit north to find moose. You find moose like in the North Country of New Hampshire. The rural areas of Maine, which is basically everything but the freaking coast. And you'll see them in North Country, New York, and you'll see them in Vermont. Yeah, Toronto is too much of a city for moose to be in that area. Just not going to happen. Too built up, too much city, too much stuff, infrastructure for moose to exist in that area. No, the plural moose is moose. I am from New England. I lived in New Hampshire for over 14 years, working up there, so I know that. I've seen moose. We've gone up into what we call the North Country to look for moose. To just, and we've driven by. We've on a highway, and we're like, oh wow, moose over here in a puddle of water. Yeah, they're on the island of. It was originally the circuit is. It is called the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It was originally named Le Notre Dame Circuit because it's on the island of Notre Dame. This is Toronto's again in the very part of the very strong French Canadian Catholic enclave of that area. Yeah, no, Sam, this is very boring. It is very much, not much we can do. We are 35 minutes into the session right now. There's 25 minutes left. We've been in this red flag for over almost 30 minutes now. Yeah, it's just it is what it is. The moment we are getting an interview. Yeah, so one of the things that's interesting here is that this track, F2 and F3 do not run at this track. So we've got our three rookies, particularly we've got, it is Plasky, it is DeVries, and it is Sargent. They are essentially, what's going on? I just saw a car being pushed by the team. I don't know which direction they were going. Yeah. Okay, so they're pushing Gasly's car down the pit lane to the garage. That's what I saw. So yeah, so we again, the fact that Gasly's car is back in the garage now means that they've got in 22 plus, let's say another 15 minutes, maybe so. So they would have gotten 15 minutes after the session ended. They probably would have gotten the car. So they've got about 30, 35, 37 minutes more time to work on that car and figure out what failed, what went wrong, than they would normally have. So. Ooh. So one of the things that they're showing is that on Gas's car that they had some Floviz paint. They were trying to get some data from Floviz, for on the car. Yeah, they wanted the car. They were doing some experimentation with the car. So there's about 1,500 of you watching still with me right now. I thank you for still being here. I apologize. There's nothing I can do. There's a red flag, and it's gone on for over 30 minutes, and then there's not much I could do. And Gary is back. There is a oh my god. Kevin as singing Blame Canada. If those don't know, that is from the South Park movie. Famously got played at the Oscars. Ayrton is asking, what is the 8-ball thing? I have no clue what the 8-ball thing is. I know it's a command, but I don't know how it really works or if it works at all. Any news, Crash? No news. We are in a scenario where basically, let's take a. Now we're getting into about 20 minutes left in the session. So how did it get where we are right now? So the session started, and people were starting out on track. In his first lap, Gasly's car. Basically, it is. We know that either a gear or a gearbox or something mechanical happened, and he lost power in his car, could not continue moving forward, and he stopped on track. They tried getting him back up and running again, didn't happen. Race control went from a yellow to red, and they brought him off track. While this happened, closed caption TV cameras failed, and these are cameras needed on track for. We need these working for safety reasons. So race control can see what is going on, and call out yellows as required. So this is extremely important that these are working. And it's been red flags since that moment. Who's Gary? Paula. So Gary is the hedgehog that ran onto track last year at the Canadian Grand Prix. There's actually a short of F1 actually posted a short to introduce Gary to you for the first time. So yeah, no, it is. So basically, sorry, hedgehog, groundhog. Thank you. I'm thinking of Sonic. My apologies. But he's a groundhog. And he ran onto the track last year, and that's where that's one of the commentators gave him. Oh, he did survive. No, he's perfectly fine. He made it across the track. He perfectly fine. And it became a meme from last year's race. And as now we've seen, we have more groundhogs. Basically Gary's back. GG saying F1 highlights will be the shortest ever. Yes, pretty much. Again, F1. If you go to F1's YouTube, they posted a short about Gary from last year. So if you are wondering who Gary is, what's going on, there you go. we will be talking about Gary for years to come. He is now a feature of the Canadian Grand Prix. No, they will not give. So the question from Joshua Barrett is that will they give back the time, being the prolonged flag is by no one of the teams? The answer is no. It's not. Basically, ultimately, it is timed. It is not like quali where the clock stops, or the race where the race they stop they're not counting laps. They should actually bring them. They stop the race. Free practice, when a red flag comes out, the clock still continues because it is a time session, and and ultimately there is a schedule to the weekend that F1 needs to, and not just F1, but the race organizers need to hold to. It is rare that sessions get pushed back. The only time you will see a session delayed. That's because, again, the biggest one is if we had F2 running. We don't have F2 running here this weekend, just to make sure. But if F2 were to run on a weekend and there is a bad crash at the end of that session, it takes a while to clear that and to set up and to fix the track. That's when a session would be delayed from starting. But once the session starts, the clock is just going to run. So there's 17 change left on the clock right now. It's going to run out. I'm looking at the F1, my F1 stream. It's actually 16 and a half minutes left here on the stream, which is more likely the stream is like faster than what I'm getting from from the F1 TV from the website. Yeah, Margaret also brings up, there's another good point about there must be about 2.5 hours between practice sessions, between sessions. The car is already moved. Yeah. What's the fastest lap time here? It happens to be Bottas with a lap time of 1:18.728. So right now, if this is the end of the session, we would be Bottas 1, Stroll 2, Alonso 3, Perez and Verstappen P4, P5, Prass is a P6, Haas is P7, P8, Zhou is P9, the Ferrari is P10, P11, Sainz over Leclerc, De Vries beats out Tsunoda, Norris in P14 loses out to his his teammate. Gasly does not set a time. Albon, Sargent have not set. No, Albon, Sargent has. No, he's not set a time. So and Ocon, Hamilton, Russell have not set times as well. Technically, De Vries is the last one to set a time. So Tsunoda, Norris, Gasly, Albon, Sargent, Ocon, Hamilton, Russell have not set a time. Yeah, so given what I know, someone brought up, like, if they don't do a time lap, given what's happened here, I don't. It's very much a scenario where if we don't get if it doesn't continue, I don't think it's. We've got 2 other practice sessions, and I don't think. Even in wet, I mean, if they do a respective time in the wet, that's what people are going to be looking for. TJ Hanzo is saying that second training should maybe be longer. The problem is that the session has already been scheduled. And we'll see. Nah, she was just pointing out that Alpine is being a little bit doing what they need to do. But basically, the session has been scheduled already. And one thing that F1 is very good about is being very punctual. So, and it's kind of in the rules right now that we've got, again, about 13. We've got 13 minutes left in the session. Basically, if they don't get back on track, they don't get back on track. what will happen if the camera, so luckily there is nothing between now, says discussions are underway to add a half hour to the second practice. Well, I'm not sure where that is coming from. I wouldn't expect that time it would be added to that practice, just given how F1 is so rule based scheduled. So yeah, no, it's just based on where things are right now. I you know, the good thing is that between now and FP2 there are no other sessions scheduled on this track. We don't have an F2 or an F3 going on this weekend. It's all F1. So in the next 2.5 hours, it's just a free track. So the worst case scenario is that we come back FP2, and if the cameras are still not working, then we then have then they will push back the start of the session, because essentially the track will still be in that red flag. The red flag hasn't even. So what's interesting is that even if the session ends, the track will still be in red flag. So they'll have to push that. So if they're still in a red flag scenario, again, when we come to the session start, they'll push back, they'll delay the start of the session. And that's when things get interesting. Again, Anthony Rosa, okay, so why the red flag? So we've got 10 minutes left in the session. Here's how beginning of the session started. We started getting everyone on track, and Gasly's car basically had a mechanical issue. It's either a gear or the drive shaft or something. He stopped getting power. It went from being a yellow to basically racing control basically said, red flagged it, pulled him back behind the wall. That's why that's what started the red flag. Now, so Gasly's car got put behind the wall. We then continued with a red flag because there are cameras, closed circuit cameras that are on for the track that are needed for safety that have failed, and they're trying to fix them, bring them back online. And we've been this way since basically the 54th minute. So, yeah, people are looking happy in the Grand. They don't get me wrong. Okay, so on F1 TV right now, the clock will run down on FP1. The session won't be extended. There must so again, this is part of the regulations. There must be 2.5 hours between FP1 and FP2. They are looking at options to extend FP2, which is interesting, because that's normally how that would happen. When would a session be extended? The only time that I've seen a session extended has been in the Pirelli tire tests. So Race Control has called it. The session will not be resumed. So we've hit under the 10-minute mark. The session's not going to be resumed. So the question now comes to FP2 and FP3 are not here. Do not race in Montreal. So they're not here at the Canadian Grand Prix. So it's only F1 here this weekend. So we have nothing to worry about in terms of other sessions to worry about. The next session on the track will be FP2 for F1, as long as those cameras have been fixed. That's the big question. If the cameras if we come back 2.5 hours from now, so 2.5 hours from now, we will be back live, and I'll be talking to you again. So I'm here all weekend long. I want to thank the 1,300 of you who are still here. I want to apologize that we've had a bump session. It's been red flagged most of the session. It's not going to be resumed. I want to thank the 434 of you who have liked this stream. I know, so people are really salty. I'm one of them. I'm one of those people pretty salty right now. Because I've spent an hour here just trying to tell you what is going on over and over again. So, I know it's not my fault. So 2.5 hours from now, we will be live again for FP2 as long as FP2 goes off at that time. So one of the scenarios that we're looking at right now, when we come back, has the track moved, because it's still in red flag. It's still in a red flag scenario, even as the session ends. Track is still in red flag. Why is it not resuming? Because there's less than 10 minutes. Basically, Race Control saw it was less than 10 minutes, and they were not going to be able. They knew in that 10 minutes they were not going to get back back on track. So they called it. They called the session when they could. Again, FP2. Okay, so Race Control free practice will start at 16:30 local time. So that is 4:30. So that is again. So it'll be 4:30 local, so 3:30 right now, about 3 hours from now, if I've done my math correctly. The session will be 90 minutes, so that is interesting that they've extended the session. So what this means is that we have a more likelihood of seeing rain on the track, because the session is going to be longer. So we'll be back here soon. So I'm going to try and wrap this up. So ultimately, the session has ended. People went on track. Bottas get the fastest time because no one else could get times in. Gasly car basically had a mechanical failure on track, which brought out the original red flag. We have been in a red flag scenario after that. Once they got Gasly car off the track, basically when they got Gasly car off the track, we got into a scenario where the CTD, the closed circuit television cameras failed in certain parts of the track, and they need those for safety reasons. So even if Gasly's car, we put Gasly aside, even if he didn't happen, the track would have gone into a red flag scenario. And basically, the session won't resume because ultimately the red flag came. Basically, they have not fixed the scenario to bring the track into a safe operating condition. So the question is why. That's why basically it was 10 minutes left. They weren't gonna get the track. Oh my God! Someone has a hat that's a wing. It's a he's wearing a Mercedes. Oh my God! He's wearing a Mercedes outfit. He's got a Mercedes wing on his head, and the top of his hat is a wing. It's doing a DRS opening. Oh my God! That's the most hilarious thing I've seen today so far. So essentially they got to 10 minutes, we went, no, it's one of those. So, all right. So I want to thank everyone who's here once more time. I'm going to bring this session to the end. I'm gonna the F1 commentators are laughing about the Valtteri Bottas is the top of the timing boards. Stroll Alonso is 2 and Alonso is 3. Go figure. I want to thank everyone here. This has been Racing Statistics. If you watched this on somewhere else, we found out during the race someone was stealing our stream. if you're not watching it on Racing Statistics, you're not watching it where it's supposed to be, and you're not taking part in the community that we have here. So, just saying. I want to thank. This has been Grash. I want to thank all you who've dealt with me and I've dealt with you as we bemoaned over this red flag. We will be back for the start of the next practice. Free practice 2. We'll be back. The stream will probably be back up in another 90 minutes or 90 minutes, 2 hours, and then I'll probably be back. 15 minutes to 10 minutes before the session starts. So. Again, from everyone at Racing Statistics, I want to thank everyone who's been here. We will see you for free practice 2. It will be 90 minutes of free practice. All right.